trilogies?
On February 4th.
All I know about movie trilogies is that in the third one, all bets are off.
Scream 3.
Don't panic.
Rated R.
Welcome to the 12th annual Halloween special. That's right, it's my favorite time of year. We're talking about horror movies throughout all of October again. I've been doing this for a really long time. Holy shit. To kick off this year's special, I want to talk about a movie that, believe it or not, I've never discussed on this channel, and that is Wes Craven's Scream 3. A film that's often referred to as the least of the Scream franchise, and that did not change when 4, 5, and 6 came out. Most people still refer to this movie as the worst of all of them. And I suppose I would agree with them. But Scream is also one of those franchises where there isn't a truly awful entry, at least for me. There is no Halloween resurrection amongst these 6 movies. Most horror franchises, but especially slasher franchises that start to get past the 3 movie length and get into the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 movies, all have really bad entries interwoven throughout all of them. With 6 entries and an upcoming 7th, Scream is easily the most consistent slasher franchise I've ever seen. And while I agree that Scream 3 is the worst of all of them, it doesn't mean I don't like it. In fact, I actually really enjoy Scream 3. I find myself watching it every few years. And over the years, I've found myself liking the film more and more, especially in its treatment of the movie industry itself, because this film is very much about the industry. You've got Stab 3, which is in production. You have all these actors portraying our characters that we know and love from the real Scream universe. And while the Stab movies were certainly referenced in Scream 1 and 2, as well as a whole bunch of other movies, this is the first one that really gets into the production element of the Stab movies. You meet the actors, you're with them, they become victims themselves. The order in which they're killed in real life is the same order that they're being killed in the script for Stab 3. And you got Lance Henriksen playing a sleazy producer in the film that says the movie's most prophetic line.
Hollywood is full of criminals whose careers are flourishing.
I'm not a criminal!
Craven had worked with Weinstein a lot by this point, and you do have to wonder if he and the film's writer Aaron Kruger thought, maybe we can sneak that in there. Something that I love about later installments and slashers that feature the original final girl as the protagonist, like say H2O, and you've got Laurie Strode as a teacher and you're seeing what she's like. In this case, you've got Sidney Prescott 3 movies into being attacked by a different person portraying Ghostface constantly, and I always like to see what the writers try to do with that character. Not just how can they bring them back into this world to face off against this killer once again, but what has it done to their lives? Is it making them a worse person or a better person? In the case of Sidney Prescott, socially, she's a worse person. She's isolated herself, she's living in the middle of nowhere, but she is using her powers for good in Scream 3 because now she's working for a woman's crisis hotline. So she's getting calls all day from women who are dealing with things that they're scared to talk about with anyone, and she's there for them. And so I always love when a writer can take a character and be like, okay, yes, this stuff has happened to you and it's really bad, but it's not going to make you change fundamentally who you are. Whenever that happens in some of these later slasher movies, I tend to think, okay, like I get it, but it feels wrong. Scream 3 didn't do that. The film also has Jay and Silent Bob in it.
Oh shit, Silent Bob, it's that TV news shit, Connie fucking Chung. Hey Connie, how's Maury?
I don't really know why, other than, hey. And to be honest, when I saw the movie, I was like, hey, there they are. Something 3 did with Ghostface I really liked is that Ghostface uses everyone's voice. He's got the ability to mimic basically everyone. And so if you get a call from somebody, you don't really know if it's them or not. Or if they're on the other side of a door, for instance, and you can't see their face, you don't know if it's them. And so it makes everyone really anxious about who they're talking to, and it allows Ghostface to fuck with them a lot more. If there was a missed opportunity in the movie, I feel like it's referenced very briefly early on that everyone right now is talking about violence in movies. After one of the first deaths, the producers and some cops are meeting on the set of Stab 3, and that's what they're talking about.
Detectives, there's no reason to presume that Cotton's death had anything to do with this movie, is there?
He was making a movie called Stab. He was stabbed.
But it's thrown away pretty quickly and they don't really go back to it. Now, the year 2000 when this came out, absolutely, everyone was talking about violence in movies. People still are, but right then, it was heavy, everywhere. And they just didn't really go into it. I would have loved to have seen, even if it was just the killer, who if you haven't seen it, I won't spoil it, talking more about exactly why they did what they did and how it maybe relates to film in some way, because they were close. You can see, like, as you look at the film's commentary on sleazy producers, what it can do to an actor, how that can all come back on somebody. All of it's there. They were so close to really pinpointing that, but I think maybe they just didn't want to. But I think I can understand why, because if you look at what was going on in the news at that time with violence, how it was influencing the youth and all that stuff that everyone wanted to talk about, whether it was Mortal Kombat or movies in general, the stuff that was going on made people reference movies and violence all the time. And Scream 3 kind of had to talk about it, but then they didn't want to talk about it. And I feel like it's a perfect parallel with today, how we had COVID and people tried to make a few COVID movies, but nobody wanted to talk about COVID anymore because we're all fucking tired of hearing about COVID. So you're not seeing a lot of movies about it because nobody wants to live in that world. You know, like it's strange. It's like they reference it because they had to. But it was like, all right, let's move on now because we're tired of hearing about it. Where Scream 3 really works for me is, of course, I like all of our principal characters. I love Sidney Prescott. I love Dewey. I love Gale Weathers. All of them. I like a lot of our new people too. I like the idea of the real life characters from Woodsboro having to team up in some way with their movie counterparts. And Wes Craven really knew how to make an excellent commercial film with a great pace. If you've ever read anything about him, you know that he cared a lot about making movies entertaining and making sure the audience had a great time. And every few years when I watch this movie, I find more enjoyment in it. And I do think that as I learn more about the film industry also, that has made my enjoyment of the movie skyrocket. The Scream franchise is easily the most consistent slasher franchise. That doesn't mean that it has entries in it that I like more than others, like Carpenter's Halloween. Nothing in the Scream franchise is ever going to touch that for me, but they've really done a phenomenal job with these movies, and I can't wait to see what Kevin Williamson does with 7. So guys, look forward to more videos in the 12th annual Halloween special. I can't wait to talk about all kinds of spooky movies with you all October. It's going to be a blast. Thank you guys as always for watching, and if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.